So, Lori, let's start with you. Check.
Check.
And one more time.
Check.
Jonathan.
Check.
And one more.
Check.
Perfect. All right, let's roll. Okay, so just a few questions. Did you guys notice anything in the reception as far as dancing? People who didn't know how to dance, funny things that happened. This is stuff that there might not be anything.
Well, they picked us up on the chairs, like, and they almost dropped me.
That's right. Tell me about that.
That's right.
Did you guys know it was going to happen?
No.
I had no idea.
No, but I'm glad it did, because I always wanted to do that, even though it's actually a Jewish tradition, I think. But
Yeah.
a lot of people do it, I guess, anyway.
Right.
So they just kind of threw me on a chair and picked me up.
Right.
And they it started going this way. I think there was a little less, concentration on the front end of the chair. So I started to do this. I almost went sliding right off.
That's right.
Recovery at the end.
Do you know
but
whose idea it was? Or just
I don't
somebody
know.
just brought a chair and it just went?
Well, some goon said, grab a chair, let's hoist them up there. Let's go.
And then there's a great picture, actually, two pictures that when he got picked up on the chair, of him getting picked up on
Almost
the chair,
falling off, the same
and
thing
me
happening.
going like this, right? Like, so it's actually good. We have it up on the wall.
Yeah.
Now, did anything else like that kind of thing happen? Out of the ordinary stuff or something that normally wouldn't happen at a wedding? There might not have been. I'm trying to refresh my memory with it.
No, it's not hard.
Nothing you can remember, right?
Well, just the buses leaving us at the
Oh
end
yeah,
of the
that
night.
too.
What?
Well, the end of the night, everyone was leaving. We had the buses to go back to the hotel.
And two big coach buses to go back.
Fit
to
100 people or more. I don't even know how many.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah. But so at the end of the night, we're running, a little late. We said, Steve, the maitre d', right?
Yeah.
We said, Steve, go outside and make sure the buses do not leave. So we put Steve on the case. He was going to
great.
definitely get it done. Great guy,
He spoke
great
to
guy.
both guys.
Yep. Talked to the bus drivers. So at the end of the night, we're like, great. 5 minutes later, after we told them not to leave.
So my grandmother starts saying, I think the buses left. And I'm like, no, just the one bus should have left. We talked about keeping one of them here. And she's like, I don't know. I just saw the lights drive off into I said, well, they shouldn't have left. And if they left, I said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. So sure enough, they had left.
Yeah.
John had to call up the Academy bus lines and say, excuse me.
And on the cell phone,
They left-
the buses left.
They left the bride, the groom, our parents.
Right in the room.
Yeah,
And all of our-
and our parents and
Yeah.
my grandmother and all of our stuff that we had to take out.
And they were told to stay.
Yeah, they were told
2
to
minutes
stay.
earlier. But it really wasn't a big deal.
It was kind
Called
of
them on the
funny.
cell phone. It was kind of funny. It's an amusing story.
Well, then we called them on the cell phone. So
got
then
through the dispatch line.
they stopped both buses. And then we had people from the first bus, which apparently they didn't do a good job of like ushering people into the two buses because the first bus was so packed that people were standing. They were like a minute away from the hotel. And so we had friends calling us up saying, we'll pay for you to get a cab back to the hotel.
Or I think one of them even said a limo to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Big spenders.
Yeah, right.
We were like, we don't care. Somebody's coming back to get us and our
Right.
stuff. Thanks very much. So then the second bus came back, and there were only like 3 people on the second bus. So one of them being my drunk cousin Paul, who was trying to take over the bus and drive away with everybody. He got kicked out of the bus after that.
That's right. We put them in the luggage rack, right?
That's right. So that was pretty funny.
I had no idea.
That was funny.
All right, so let's move on to you guys first meeting each other. Tell me a little bit about, you guys met at Fordham.
Yeah.
Tell me this story.
Well, the first day we met was the first day of freshman year in the quad, I guess you would call it. Courtyard in front of our dorm.
It might be getting a little loud.
Oh, yeah.
Quiet down in there.
Kick them out.
I think I hear the scooping as well.
It's you guys.
Oh,
It's
But
the clinking.
I hear the
you're talking. We're going to kick them out.
Yeah, well, that would do.
Hey. Hey,
I
Dad.
mean, it's either that.
Can
or if they-
you guys mind going on the porch for a few minutes and
Taking the
Mom and
They
let?
can like just.
Yeah, just a couple minutes. We'll be done. See, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be done. All right, so tell me about when you guys first met.
So we met, the first day we met was the first day of freshman year at Fordham University in the courtyard of our dormitory, Alumni North. My roommate and I were walking outside going to the store, and a whole bunch of guys were playing hacky sack, or back then what I called hack and sack. I thought I was so smart. My roommate, my roommate was like, "What are they doing?" I'm like, "They're playing hack and sack." I thought I was so smart. So the boys invited us over to play hack and sack, or hacky sack, or whatever you call it. And Jonathan came after we started playing a couple of minutes, and the first thing I remember about him was his smile. He just had the biggest smile, and he just smile at everybody, just be like, "How you doing?" And so that was the first thing I remember about him. And then we became best friends in college and after college.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Going
then
out into Manhattan, adventures, Broadway plays, movies.
Yeah, all the time.
So now, you guys became really good friends right off the get-go. I mean, you guys clicked.
Yep.
Was it all platonic, or was there any sort of hidden feelings from one or the other?
It was always platonic, although everybody used to say, "You should just get together. You're just going to wind up together. You should date. You should do this. You should do that."
Nah, we're just friends.
Yeah. Now, did you guys really you didn't want to ruin the friendship? I mean, what was it?
I think originally it was, we clicked and it was just a friendship. And then it kind of grew into something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it changed as we did.
Yeah.
As we get older.
It's just natural. It just went.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I always felt that there was a special connection between us. We always had I think a stronger bond than I ever had with anybody else, I think.
Now, what's the first thing that happened to the next level? Was it a kiss? What was it that
Our
just
parents were in the other room.
What was it?
Well, the first thing I remember was
walking down the street.
Well, no, actually before that.
In Lupa.
Lupa. We used to go to dinner all the time. Jonathan moved back from, he was in California for a while, and then he moved to Syracuse, and then he moved back down to Hoboken, which is where I also lived. So we used to go out every week or so to go to dinner. And one week we went out to dinner, and we went into the city, and we went to this place called Lupa. And we always used to pick off of each other's plates, "Oh, you want some of my food?" So I remember he asked me if I wanted some of his dinner, and I was like, "Sure." And as I started to get my fork so that I could stick it in his ravioli, he picked up his fork with the ravioli and fed it to me. And I think I was so taken aback that I was so confused that I fell on the floor.
That was attractive. So I was start from then on.
It was not the typical romantic scene. It was the ravioli falling off. It's
Now, Jonathan, did you think no big deal of it, or were you trying to be romantic?
Well, I think it was
at that point.
Yeah, at that point, I think there was, something else going on, and that was just the very first beginnings of it.
It's just crashed into the wall.
Yep, that's right.
So then that was right before Christmas,
Yep.
and we exchanged gifts. I bought him a set of martini glasses, which he didn't really care for, which we now have in our cabinet. But he bought me a blue cashmere sweater. And I remember I went home calling my friends up, our mutual friends from college, and I said, "Something's going on." I said, something's not right. And I explained it to my friend OT, and she was like, "Well, Jonathan, John, he's like that with everybody." I'm like, "No, there's something else." And so I called her up after he gave me the sweater, and I was like, "Well, I got a blue cashmere sweater for Christmas. I don't know, that to me means something else." And she's like, No. But then I remember after that, I thanked him for the sweater because I thought it was, it was beautiful and it was wonderful, and he's wonderful. And so I remember he wrote me back, and he said, his comment back was, "Well, do you really I like the color for you because it matches your eyes." And so I called my friend OT up, and I was like, "Okay, that's not a friend comment." And she agreed with me.
Yeah.
And then we went to New Year's. We went out for New Year's to Boston.
Yep. Stay with Kristen.
Yeah, our friend Kristen. And it kind of progressed from there. You should tell the story.
Hold the thought.
You can tell the rest.
I would do. Oh, you're doing great.
No.
obviously there had to have been some. These are questionable things. Maybe. What is that thing that happened that just was it a kiss?
Well, by the
It was
time
our first date.
Yeah.
It was when we went out to Pipa.
Did you call it a date?
Well,
no, he called it. We're going to see mud wrestling.
absolutely. It's basically a surprise evening out in the city.
You know, it's not like you guys didn't go out to places together
Right.
as friends. So
Right.
what made this
But-
a date?
Well, it made it a date because for however many months, maybe 2 or 3 months, there was all these little things happening. It started out in Lupa, went to there, to here.
Then we did ballroom dancing.
Then we did ballroom dancing, and we were walking down the street, arm in arm. And
Which
then
we-
finally, it kind of came to a head, I think, at a place at Pipa, where basically
We both knew it was a date
Right.
beforehand because
Oh,
of OT.
we knew, right. We had our little inside player.
Yeah.
Who was a common friend who was talking to the two of us. So I would tell OT one thing, Lori would tell OT one thing. So OT knew and told Lori told OT. She fed right back to me in the same way.
So now, when did the first kiss happen? Did it happen
That night.
That night.
So
we went out to dinner. Tell the story about dinner.
Well, we went out to dinner. I think 6 p.m. at Pipa.
Yep.
So it's a great place, a little tapas place. It's a little like Spanish kind of place down in the village. Started.
you say it's a topless?
No. Oh yeah, right. No, that came.
He
later.
said mud wrestling.
That's right. Tapas. It's Spanish food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Topless place. It's great.
Yeah, right. Very topless place. Put that in the video. Put that in that way. Topless place. Keep that forever. Yeah. So we sat down at dinner at 6 o'clock. Did I give you the present at that point?
No, was it
That was later.
dessert?
That was after dessert.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. So basically, we sat down and said,
Well, we sat down for dinner, and dinner took a long, extended time.
right.
And then after the break in dinner, Jonathan gave me a present. And the present was the week before we went out to Pipa. We had gotten together with our college friends for like a mini reunion. And we went to this bar, and I had these new brown leather gloves that I had bought. And I lost one of them at the bar. So
Just not an uncommon thing.
not an uncommon thing. But so when we went to Pipa, he brings out this present, this big box. And so I said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's a present." And I had gotten him 2 presents for Christmas because he didn't like the first one. So I bought him a pan, a pot, right? All clad pan. And so he said, "Well, you bought me 2 presents for Christmas, so this is your second present." So I said, "Oh, okay." So I opened the present. It was a cigar box. And inside
So I got her a box of cigars.
Inside the cigar box was my lost glove that he had gone back to the bar and recovered for me. And that was followed by a lovely card, which his card that apparently he had given me for Christmas with the cashmere sweater that I never got, the card. It got lost in somehow. Mm-hmm. And he gave me the card, and the card said that he thought I was an amazing woman and that I was his best friend. The card itself didn't say, like, let's get together. But it was pretty obvious. And then he followed that up by...
By, oh, you tell me. By, well, we just had this conversation at that point. So I think I basically spelled it out. That said, we both know there's something going on. This is what it is. And I think at that point I said that, with best friends, we always will be. But at this point, I just really love you.
And you said I was gorgeous.
You were gorgeous.
And I was like, you think I'm gorgeous? Yeah. So that was kind of fun. And then after that, we closed the joint, right?
Yeah.
I think, or
The waitress was coming over every 10 minutes. Well, it seemed like every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Probably once an hour.
We were there from 6 till 12.
Yeah.
So we were there for 6 hours. And the waitress kept coming over. And we were like, doesn't she know this is an important part in our life? Like, doesn't she know what we did to get here? And go away. But, and then after that, we went back to my apartment. And we sat on the couch for a long time. And it was like, because it was the big moment. Because we hadn't kissed at that point. We had dinner. We shared all these feelings. And there still wasn't any kissing going on. So, as you like to say, that...
She attacked me.
He basically was sitting there, and it was kind of awkward for like a moment where we were like, well, who's going to make the first move? And then he said, well, I guess I'll be going. It's getting late. And then I took a deep breath. I turned around and I kissed him.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, that's very descriptive. Tell me about the engagement. Was it a big to-do proposal thing, or was it just like, want to get married? Okay.
No.
Okay.
You wanna?
The engagement. Well, the engagement was kind of funny because at that point we kind of, both saw it coming. So we had an apartment that Lori was on the lease for. I was not on the lease. So we were
just
planning on moving in together, but she's constantly going, "You're not moving in with me unless I get a ring."
I told him he'd be living in a box.
Living in a box. But all in all, it was in good fun.
Yeah, it was. We knew already that was coming.
So what we did is I got the actual stone for the ring. This ring here. Got the stone, went to...
Did you see that? Did you catch it?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, right? Come take a look at that.
Let's go up a little high.
Yeah.
So this way. Hold on. This is good stuff. Perfect. Hold on. You can bring it down. Continue.
No. So at that point, this was just a stone. It wasn't the ring. So basically my plan was I was going to put it in a clamshell. So I went to the clam broth house in Hoboken, got a clam. So I walked into the place and said, "I need a clam." Like, "What?" "Just a clam. Not a dozen clams. Do you want it cooked?" "I don't care." So basically all I needed was the shell. So I told them the whole story, told them what I was planning on doing. They're like, "Oh, that's so sweet." So hid the diamond in a clamshell. Basically wrapped it all up really good, put it in styrofoam, tape around it, taped the clam shut so it absolutely wouldn't go anywhere.
So the week before we were supposed to move in, we were moving in August 15th, and the weekend before, I kept waiting for the big surprise. I knew it was going to be that weekend because we had already talked about the fact that, we were making jokes about not living together. So I said, he's either going to do it the weekend before or he's going to do it the day we were supposed to move in together. Either one of those is a viable option.
It's not good.
Yeah. So we went to Montauk that weekend. So I knew pretty much that day that it was going to happen. But so we get out to Montauk. First thing we do is go to the lighthouse. So I'm like, is it going to happen? Yeah. Is it going to happen here? Is it going to happen here? I'm looking around. Is it going to happen here? I'm like, I hope it's not going to happen here. I don't like lighthouses.
We went to about 5 places in Montauk before the end of the day, before the actual proposal.
Right. So all day long, I'm thinking, is it here? Is it here?
What, the Montauk, the supermarket. I had to go to the bathroom once. I had to go.
The restaurant. The restaurant.
It's like, see, coming back with the ring.
Yeah. All day long, I'm like, is it going to be here? So then we're walking down, and we get to, we drive to a beach. Yeah, Diker Beach, which there's a big sign that says no parking here, right? And I was like, are we going to get towed?
No parking, local residents only. Can we park here? We're parking here. I don't care. I don't care what happens with the car.
At that point. So we start walking down the beach. So now I'm thinking, okay, it's going to happen any second. I know it's going to happen. So we're walking. He starts pointing out all these shells on the ground. Oh yeah, what kind of shell is that? What kind of shell is that? Is that a whole clam shell? No, that's a half a clam shell. Now he's got me talking. That's a half a clam shell. Well, why isn't there? I'm like, you never find a whole clam shell on the beach. And he's like, why not? I'm like, I don't know, because they're dead by the time they get there.
Because I had to get her looking at the ground because I had the clam shell.
You happened to actually get her talking about
He had me
yeah.
talking.
Oh yeah.
I said it of my own accord.
Yep.
All he did was he's like pointing to the shells and he's like, is that a full clam shell? I'm like, no, that's not. You never find full clam shells on the beach. I'm like, and he's like, why not? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, it's just because they're all dead by that time. So we're walking. So I'm like, all right. So now we turn around. We start walking back. And I'm like, all right already. When is it going to happen? So then I'm thinking he's nervous, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. So then he stops me on the beach and he starts hugging me. I feel him going in his pocket. Now, I'm thinking, here comes the velvet box, right? Going in the pocket, come in the velvet box. So then he starts walking again. I'm like, all right, what's going on here? I'm like, he must be nervous. So
what I did is I was going in my pocket for the ring, was holding Lori with my left hand, so she was facing this way. She was this way, I was this way. I had my hand in my pocket. Basically, I was holding her with one hand, took the clamshell and threw it.
Threw the clamshell.
6 or 8 feet, as far as I could throw it the way I knew we were going to be walking.
On a beach.
And it's part of my perfect plan.
It was.
Lori's looking down the whole time, looking at clamshells. So when we get 6 more feet down the beach, she actually, I think, almost kicked it. It was, oh, look at this. A full clamshell.
So now I pick up the clamshell.
Who said that?
She did.
I did, because he had me talking about this clamshell. Now, you have to remember, I pretty much knew it was going to be this day, and I thought there's absolutely no way this man's going to surprise me with any of this, because I know what's coming. So the moment that, like, I'm looking down, because he's had me looking down for the last half hour, I step on the clamshell. I go, oh, look at this. I pick up the clamshell, and I see tape on the clamshell. It still doesn't occur to me.
Right.
I have
these
no
kids,
idea.
what are they doing?
I'm thinking, I have this whole vision in my head that there's a little boy somewhere that found this great clamshell and has this tape on this clamshell, and I could just picture him walking with his pail. It fell off the pail on the way to... I had a whole scenario for this clamshell.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, look at this. I'm like, this is really great. Now I'm
starting to take the tape off.
Starting to take the tape off of the clamshell, thinking nothing at all. Nothing that this is related to the fact that all day I've been looking for the ring to come, and it's in a clamshell. Didn't even occur to me. And so then he takes it out of my hand.
Right, so she starts taking the tape off. The clam could be in the wrong position. The diamond falling in the sand, lost
diamond.
forever.
It's not a ring.
Right. There's nothing.
Oh my god.
It was just a diamond in a clam.
Yeah. Like, okay, that's enough. So then, I'm not sure. At that point, I think she
knew. When
knew.
he took it out of my hand.
Right. Took the tape off, opened it. At that point, took the diamond out of the styrofoam, the paper, the other tape, and got on one knee and proposed.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said yes.
So that's amazing though. So you did the diamond. So
Yep. Like the pearl in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got the rock.
Right.
Yep.
That's great.
So it was like the pearl in the clamshell, but a diamond in the clamshell.
Perfect.
It was very creative.
Absolutely.
And then he took out our Fordham blanket.
Fordham blanket, bottle of
Dom Perignon.
Beach on Montauk.
Yeah.
Very good.
It was perfect. And then we were driving back, and we stopped in Port Jefferson and spent the night there, right?
Yep.
So
Excellent.
it was very lovely.
And the fact bought a house.
And the fact that he actually was able to surprise me the moment that he proposed, after all day and all like month, me knowing that it was going to be probably that day, and all day thinking it's going to come in any second, I give him a lot of credit.
Thanks.
He's so sneaky.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's it.
Woo.
Okay, but I shouldn't bother.
Yeah, don't worry about me. I'm just checking levels.
I'll just still talk to you. Okay, I get that,
Try
I
not
guess.
to as much as I can.
Okay.
The other thing too is, I want you to just slate your name and your relationship. This is just for editing, so I have it. So, what's your first name and your relationship? Your relationship to the bride, obviously.
Okay, my name is Lilette, and I'm the bride's mom.
Sorry. This will be out of frame. Don't worry about this. Can you do that one more time?
Okay. My name is Lilette, and I'm the bride's mom, or mommy as I used to be known.
You got it. All right. So, let's start with the right side of the page. Let's start off when she was a baby. She's newborn. Tell me what she was like.
Oh,
You know what? I'm sorry. I have to check volume out here.
Sorry.
That's all right.
All right. She doesn't want to look at you. She wants to look at the direction.
okay.
We'll wait till they get out. They'll pick
You
up
could.
the noise. What's that? It's dripping from the drain down.
Oh, you can
the pipe.
hear it, right?
Yeah, not from the.
You hear it in the back, the back noise,
All
right?
right, now we're recording for real.
Okay.
All right, so tell me what she was like as a baby.
Lori what Lori was like as a baby was she was a very good baby. She was a thumb sucker. She liked sucking her thumb, so she quieted herself down. She never took a pacifier. She was excited and always interested, loved light and color and sound, and would do something as an infant, twirl her hair around her finger until she made herself cry. And I would have to come in and untangle her finger out of her hair and calm her down. But she was a great baby. She really was. She was excited and loved looking at things, and was very verbal at a very early age. Started talking, and her own little, baby talk mixed with, real words, which she used to say all her words that started with an F, with a B. So she would say, my binga, and my binga hurt you if something hurt her. It was very cute. And because she used to watch Sesame Street as a toddler, she used to count when she was about a year old. She used to count like the Count counted. 1, ah, 2, ah. You couldn't get it. And she loved Twinkies. You could get her to do almost anything. Like if at that time my husband used to want to record her, on a cassette tape, her voice when she was talking, and he would just, he would go to the store and bring back a box of Twinkies, and we would try to coax her into doing, reciting for us with the promise of Twinkies,
As she got older, let's say, more like 8, 9 years old or so, more like a child, how was her personality?
Oh, she light up a room with her smile and her energy. She'd play at her friends all day, and then the friend's parent would take her home, and she would cartwheel out of the car, still full of energy. She loved dance school. She loved brownies. She just loved jumping up and down and running and playing, and always wanted to be doing something, Now,
when she got into her teens, actually hold that for a second. I'm going to adjust one right here. This one's here. Let's try that. Okay. When she got into her teens, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me personality.
Well, I do remember when she was like 12 years old, she came down really upset one day because she said she looked in the mirror and she didn't see who she was, and it like frightened her. And I think that was just the beginning of, seeing part of her being a child, and like starting to move into, different feelings. But she liked to be involved in school. She started distancing herself slightly, like, Mom, don't drop me off at the mall, don't walk next to me, kind of thing. But like all teenagers do that. Yeah, but she was great. She was always involved. She loved poetry. She always liked writing and writing poetry. And I have actually samples of, I brought with me her cards that she used to write and little poems that she would say. And even when she was punished, we used to make her go to her room, and she would write up these little notes and fly them down the staircase. And my husband and I would be watching TV, and all of a sudden this paper would come flying. I would walk up there and open it up, and it would have like a list on it. Please check one of the above. And it would say, I forgive you, you can come down now. I'm still mad at you, and you can't come down. I love you, even though you made me mad. I'll never love you again. You know, she used to have this whole list of stuff, and we would have to check one and put it back upstairs. She just, that's why it doesn't surprise me that she's like a project manager now, because she always had all those organizational type of skills and documented everything, even her letters to Santa. You know, like she has one letter to Santa where she writes a list of all the things she wants, and then she puts on the bottom of her list. You know, most kids leave cookies for Santa, but she put all the things that I circled. Those are the things that I really want. Okay, and then she put sign here. Okay, like this. Okay. And then she puts on top of the list, if you don't sign okay and leave this list, then I won't believe in you. So, you know, we had to sign okay, love Santa, you know, on her list so that she would believe in Santa. But she was just always like that, you know, very energetic, and she was really a great kid.
Okay. Hold on one second. It's hysterical, so please stop. Let's fast forward. She's at Fordham College, and she met Jonathan. Tell me a little bit about this. Did she talk to you about Jonathan? I met this great guy. We're just friends now. Or, you know, as they went on, I'm really starting to fall for this guy. I mean, did she talk to you about him at all?
Yes. She spoke to me about Jonathan when they were first friends. And she was always excited to speak to him, even when she came home on, you know, weekends when she came home. If he would call, she would be very animated on the phone and very excited. And I always felt that there was something more than a friendship, you know. And I would question her about it and say, you know, you and John, you know, like I don't know, it seems to be like you seem to have something going there, like a connection. And she's like, Mom, we're just friends. We're just friends. And I was like, okay. But then when it developed into, when it changed that relationship into a loving relationship, we were just thrilled, because I never saw her so excited as when he would call her up, or, you know, when she just spoke to him, or when they did something together. And it just made you feel like this had to be the right thing, you know. It had to be the love of her life.
Now, to go on to the wedding day itself, fast forward to the wedding day, well, let's start with this, picking out picking out the dress.
Oh, that was big fun.
You were with her when you...
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Of course, she couldn't try any veiling on, because every time she did that, I would cry. So I would be like, just don't put, and I think she liked doing that. She'd like to tell, oh, go get, you know, every seamstress would put her in a dress and then say, well, wait, we'll have to get a tiara and a veil. And she was like, oh, here's where my mom cries, you know, put the tiara and the veil on, you know. And I was like, I can't think about that. But it was a lot of fun, the dress shopping. It was one of the joys of my life is that dress shopping. And there were many, many dresses, you know, all different kinds of dresses and all different kinds of bridal shops that we went to. Kleinfeld and you know, shops in Manhattan and in New Jersey and in Long Island, everywhere you can think of, we shopped for dresses. But when she put the dress on that she picked for the wedding, that's it. You know, it was just, she looked beautiful. It just was her dress and her look.
Now, the day of the ceremony, tell me how you felt watching her walk down the aisle?
Oh, it's very funny because I know a lot of parents walk both parents down the aisle with their child, and as much as I wanted to do that, I also didn't want to miss my daughter. I waited my whole life to see my daughter actually come down the aisle. And I said, some friends said, you know, well, you'll watch that on the video. And I said, I don't think so. I think that's a moment, can't even explain it. It's just, she just looked like an angel, a dream, you know, just walking down the aisle. It just was, you know, very proud day, very joyous day, and just, you know, you can't even explain it. It's just a moment, even though it happens so quickly, you know, the actual walk, it just, I think you just think about your whole, you're raising your child their whole entire life, you know, until that moment comes, and then it's just a very emotional moment.
Now, once they're up there, and they get to the vows, a very important part of the ceremony. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very good because I love Jonathan, and I'm ready to embrace him into my family, and I'm just feeling in my heart that this is a good, lasting, good thing, and that they're going to have they're going to have a wonderful life together, and that their vows are that they're truly committed to each other, you know, in making those vows. And I got a very good feeling from that, you know, just thinking about what the future is going to bring and how happy it's going to be to share in their life as a couple and as a family eventually, and to gain all Jonathan's family along with him. It's just was wonderful.
Gotcha. Okay, let's fast forward to the reception. Do you remember anything? Let me ask you, what was the most memorable point in the reception that you remember that touched you?
I think most of the speeches that were made, Jonathan's sister's speech, you know, Annie's speech, my niece Jenna, you know, all those feelings that they felt about Jonathan and Laurie coming out, you know, their speech to each other, you know, their toast to each other, and just the way they looked at each other, and all their planning, and the culmination of everyone enjoying the reception, and after all their hard work and planning to try to make this all come to be. It's hard to say one thing, you know, but it's their first dance was very, very significant to me. Just kind of the way they flowed on the floor was kind of like how they'll flow through life, right? You know, like just it's going to be a smooth kind of loving journey. And it just was really, it was a beautiful wedding. And you could see that they were just very thrilled and pleased that it all turned out the way they had hoped and dreamed it would and planned that it would.
Now, the dance with her father, you know, what were you feeling when you were watching that?
Remembering her dancing with her dad, maybe at, you know, other occasions when she was smaller, littler, the father-daughter dances that she went to with him in high school, and just full of pride and love, and I just, I love, watching my husband dance with her. That dance, that was precious. It was really precious.
Excellent. Two more simple questions. You might have touched upon this too, but what would have been the most emotional point of the entire day? What touched you more than anything else? Powerful.
I really do believe her walk down the aisle. I really just, the look on her face, just so beaming with anticipation. Her dad kissing her, me getting to kiss her, because I said to her, even though I want to see you come down the aisle, I do want to be able to step out and kiss you also. Like when Dad kisses you, I also want to be able to step out and kiss you. And then Jonathan taking her hand, it just really, that whole first few minutes was really something. It really was.
Excellent. Similarities or opposites?
Laurie and me? Are we similar or opposite? Or Laurie and Jonathan? I see more similarities. I see some things where there might be a little bit opposite, but I think it's a good opposite. I think it's like, where they'll kind of rub off on each other and kind of come to some like middle ground. But all the similarities, I see many similarities. The exuberance for life and adventure, the intenseness of the way they love each other, and the way they look at each other. I remember shortly after they were engaged, we went out to dinner with them, and Jonathan, we were sitting at the table having dinner, and my daughter was speaking just, about something. And Jonathan was just looking in her face with a look of like an adoring look, like she was speaking gems. And I was looking at her because I was like, what is he, I love my daughter. I'm interested in when she's saying things too, but what is coming out of her mouth that is like, because he's like hanging on every word, like she was speaking words of wisdom, or they were like diamonds and rubies coming out of her mouth. And as soon as I saw that, I said, like, this is the kind of person you want your child to be with, someone that just, adores them. And it just, I was just like, I got such a kick out of that, the way he did that, the way he was just like staring at every word she said. That was something.
Excellent. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great job.
Everybody's in the house. Okay. I've suddenly become shy.
Yeah, you'll okay. All right, so tell me, well, first off, just for editing, just to slate it, tell me your name and your relationship to Lori.
My name is Karen Bilius, and my relationship is, Lori is my first cousin and also my best friend.
And you were the maid of honor?
I was.
Okay.
Not the matron of honor, but the maid of honor.
Okay. Now, bring me back to when you guys were kids. Tell me your relationship.
Okay. Well, our relationship was that my cousin Lori was always around the block for me. My cousin Lori and Chris were always around the block, so I saw them constantly. Aunt Lillette always had Lori in the most prettiest little dresses and always dressed up. Her hair was always done. Unlike me, who my mom kind of let me do whatever I want, and I was a bit of a tomboy, so my hair was never done, and I was sort of never really prim and proper. So Lori and I would hang out together and play as kids.
And Lori would come home to my aunt's house at the end of the day after playing, and poor little Lori, who was in her pretty little outfit and her hair was all done in the beginning of the day, would come home with dirt rings around her body, basically, and her hair was all just, you know, completely out of control. And, you know, Aunt Lillette would always say, why do I even dress you? You know, you go to Cousin Karen's house and this is, you know, what you do. But we used to have a great time together. We would play and, you know, we would do like kind of boy things and, you know, play cars and tag and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, it was, I mean, that was growing up. That was basically growing up in Gerritsen Beach all day long.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to move this a little bit.
Okay.
Now, let's take it into the future. You guys are older now. She's just going to Fordham University, and this is where she met Jonathan.
That's right.
Where are you at in your life, and are you guys still close, or? You know?
Yes, actually, you know what? We were still close, although we were kind of living different types of lives. I was out of school, and she was just getting into school, or I was just finishing up. But, yeah, I was working and, you know, trying to kind of get my life together. And Lori, I remember taking her to school on occasions, driving her back to school. And it was very sad, but I was very happy for her because she was really experiencing this great part in her life where, you know, there was nobody watching over her. She was very independent and, you know, just doing her own thing. So I felt, you know, Lori was like my sister, but also, you know, almost like a child too, because you kind of saw them going off to school and actually growing up before your eyes. So, you know, she used to tell me about this boy named Jonathan, or John, and, you know, I always heard stories about him. He sounded like the funniest guy that I've ever heard, but, you know, there was never any inkling that she actually liked him. You know, it was just more like, in a way that it was more of a friendship rather than, you know, a love. But she really, you could see the passion of the friendship. You know, you could see that she begun to really love him in a way of a friend. And, you know, they both went their own ways. He dated and she dated. And all throughout, I always teased her saying, Lori, you know, you always have, you date this guy, but he's really not right for you, or you're not happy with him. And same with Jonathan, like, you know, what's the deal? But she really would never admit, or maybe she didn't even know at the time, that she really, really did love him in more than just a friendship way, or more than just maybe a brotherly way. And so it took until probably, I would say, after senior year, when she actually, you know, graduated college. And we were out one night, and Jonathan and I, of course, always had these conversations while we had a few cocktails. And I always teased him, saying, you know, what's going on? You know, this is my cousin Lori. You know, she's like gold, and she's right in front of you. So he obviously, you know, it was the same thing. He didn't want to admit it, or he didn't see it at that point. But I think towards after they graduated, or maybe when they graduated, towards the first year after graduation, they started seeing it, that they really did love one another. And Lori was dating a boy at the time, and she broke up with him. And that's when Jonathan, one night when we were out, actually approached me and told me, you know, I'm going to make my move tonight. I'm actually going to plan it out, and I want to tell Lori how I feel. So I mean, I of course, you know, love Jonathan like a brother, and that was probably the happiest point, you know, in our relationship, that I'm happy to see. Of course, like she's like my sister. She's also like my daughter in some ways, and you know, to see her with somebody like Jonathan is incredible. It's probably the best that you can imagine. They're perfect for each other. And I think it took the world to see, you know, first, and then it took them, you know, 3 years, 4 years to actually see that the person that they loved and that the person that was perfect for one another were right in front of their faces.
Yeah. Now, they told me specifically about a certain night at a certain place. Were you there?
Oh, yes.
With the present, with the glove and...
Oh no! I actually.
I don't know.
Was this when they got engaged, or was this?
No,
I'm sorry.
This wasn't the engagement, but there might have been a couple of different incidences where they like, you know, where it seemed like he really opened up to her and they kissed that night. This was like...
Yeah,
like,
you know...
What happened this night that you were talking about where you said, I'm going to make my move?
Oh, this was a night that they actually met us after work, after my job, and we met all in New York City at a bar called the Ginger Man. And, you know, of course, again, you're having a few cocktails, and Jonathan, you know, at that point, Laurie was no longer with this person. And we don't even want to mention his name now, but but that's when Jonathan said, you know, I really think that I'm actually, you know, I want to do this. I don't want to lose her. It wasn't that night that he made his move, but he plotted it out. And so we knew at that point that there was no turning back.
Gotcha.
What he plotted and what, like, the action that took place wasn't, I was actually not present for that.
Were you involved with the dress at all, picking out the dress?
Oh, the dress, the wedding dress?
Were you there when they were looking at it? Or?
Yes, I actually was. We had... Oh, well, I mean, I tell you, it was a really emotional time because Aunt Lillette and I sat down on the floor. I remember sitting Indian style watching her try on these dresses. And, you know, there was one dress in particular, of course, that I liked, but I also liked the dress, obviously, that she picked out. But I will tell you that, I mean, we went for hours and hours trying on dresses. And when she put that one on, Aunt Lillette and I cried. We knew that was the dress that she had to wear at the place that, you know, that she actually ended up getting married at. I mean, it was just, it's perfect. It was perfect for her, just like Jonathan is perfect for her.
Nice. Oh, nicely put.
She's shy.
A little creative here. All right. Did you made a toast, I would assume, right? Or maybe you didn't.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about...
Oh, shoot. I'm trying to remember the toast.
You don't have to remember what you said. Just tell me, you know, did you have any feeling? You just thinking about it, off the top of your head, do you have feelings about it? Or?
I think the feeling that I had at that point was that, you know, the wedding was going on, the reception was on, and everybody was just celebrating Laurie and Jonathan. And so, you know, I mean, the place was amazing. It was just picture perfect out of like a magazine. And, you know, to see Laurie and Jonathan together, their day of celebration, that's really what was going through my mind. The absolute joy that I see that, you know, of course I care about my family, and that was the bonding of my family. So, I mean, that's what I felt. That was what was going through my mind at that point during that speech.
Gotcha. Do you remember anybody dancing funny? Just always says that. Any weird guy on the dance floor doing some weird stuff.
That would be my husband, Paul, probably.
Tell me about Paul.
Yeah, my Paul.
Was there something hysterical that kind of stood out?
I think you probably should ask that question to a few other people that actually saw, you know, I guess the turnout of what happened. But basically, yes, Paul took advantage of the martini bar that Laurie and Jonathan prepared or had available, and he definitely had a little too many of those. Having a great time, of course, because he was there to celebrate. And yeah, he was dancing with people that he hardly knew, and he got friendly with a lot of people, like they were his best friend. But that's Paul. That's great. And you know, throughout the night there were some stories with him, especially the one about him trying to drive the bus home or back to the hotel. Yeah, he thought that he could do that because the bus drivers, I guess, were apparently from Jersey and didn't know their way around Long Island and got lost. So going there, I should say, and Paul heard about this, knew they were going to get lost, and jumped behind the wheel and tried to take the bus along with everyone else to the hotel by himself, you know, driving, which he wasn't capable of doing. By far. Yeah.
Let's see. What was the most emotional point of the day for you?
Let's see. I would probably say it was the ceremony. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I have to reiterate. The most emotional part of the day was probably the ceremony. I think, and obviously, you know, that's when you think about it, it's, you know, Lori walking down the aisle and, you know, again, picturing her as a little child, you know, with me playing. And then all of a sudden there's this woman standing beside you and, you know, walking up the aisle and, you know, giving her hand to Jonathan. I think also, I think the most emotional part was seeing my Uncle John give Lori away, you know, to another man who's going to take care of her for the rest of her life.
This is the last question.
Okay.
Tell me how you felt about... Good.
Stop it.
Tell me how you felt about being picked to be the maid of honor.
Oh.
And not the matron of honor.
Being picked for the maid of honor was it was quite the honor. I was you know, I was amazed in a lot of ways. You know, of course we grew up together, and I think that, I mean, it's your sister, it's your best friend, and to be chosen to take on the responsibilities to help her mother, the person who, you know, carried her and gave birth and raised her, to be side by side making plans and you know, essentially preparing her for the rest of her life was quite the honor, an honor that, you know, I'll never forget.
Did you expect it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. Oh, well, she's also got, you know, a best friend, Tammy. And so, you know, there are times where you think that it might be somebody else. But, so yeah, there was a slight surprise, of course, pleasant. I was ecstatic when I heard that I was actually the maid of honor. And, yeah, there was a little bit of surprise.
Excellent. That's it? You're done?
Cool.
You did great. Thank you.
Hey!
Audio. Good to go. Now, what do you got over there anyway?
Oh, this is my cheat sheet. If it's elected, I shall serve. No, this isn't it.
That's something she did?
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's like an invitation to a, what was it, a brownies dinner that I was supposed to be a date. You know, she invited me.
You know what? That's another thing I'd like to. We'll scan
Prompts.
it in as you're talking about it. We'll probably bring it up.
I'm not sure if I'll talk about it. It depends on your questions.
So the first thing I want you to do is just slate your name and your relationship. This is just for editing. So when I
Full name or just John?
What's that?
My full name?
No.
Okay.
First name and your relationship.
Okay. My name is John. Lori's dad.
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
And also what I want to do is, you already did it, but when I ask you a question, just restate the question. As if I didn't, you know, because I'm not going to use my voice in this.
Okay.
So if I say, you know, what was she like growing up when she was younger, blah, blah, blah. You know, you just kind of start me off with it.
Okay,
And if
I'll
you
try.
don't, if you forget, don't worry, I'll
Okay.
catch it. And
I'm going to end up on the editing room floor, I think.
Okay. So, first things first, let's start off with when she was, and you could probably introduce this somewhere along the lines, because I want to talk about her childhood.
Okay.
Tell me about Lori as a baby, and take me through as a child and even through a teenager.
Okay, Lori was a baby. The first time I saw Lori, actually, you know, at the hospital, after I saw my wife, after she delivered, she said, you know, she told me where to go to see Lori. I went there and I looked and, you know, I saw her name there, and, you know, it's the longest piece of paper there with Smrechniak on it. And, you know, when I went back to tell my wife, I said, she's beautiful, I told her. And I says, the only thing is, you know, can't you do something with her hair? It's sticking up like, like kind of needs to be managed a little bit, I said. After that, you know, she was a great kid, you know, Lori, very smart, very energetic, adventurous, you know. I think my wife probably told you she was very like a project manager right from the beginning. You know, she used to, when she was punished or not really punished, but we says, go to bed, it's past your bedtime, and she'd go up and she'd write little notes down and please check a box, do you hate me, or, you know, do you love me, or all sorts of things like that. You know, it's very organized. She's very organized as a child.
To be scanned.
Yeah, no, it's,
great you guys talked about it.
it's she was an amazing kid.
Well, when did she do that?
Oh, she was about 8 years old. This is a invitation to a brownies dinner dance that they were having at the Girl Scouts. And my wife was telling me, and I remember that day it snowed very hard, and she was waiting, my wife was telling me, at the window waiting for me to get home so we can go to this dance. But it was a blizzard. And my wife was telling me, they're probably going to cancel, it's snowing too hard. No, they're not going to cancel. She wanted to go in the worst way. And sure enough, they finally canceled before I made it home. You know, I did make it home eventually, but the dinner dance was canceled. But I think they made it up eventually. But, you know, it was funny because she writes down, please come and be my date. You know, she was about 8 years old. She was so sweet. And, you know, she had this long hair and pigtails, I think, at that time of her life. But she was bouncy. I remember, she used to bounce all over the place.
Now, when she got older, even, you know, towards teens and into teens, how was her personality? How did she change? And tell me, you know.
She never lost her love of life. She was always adventurous. I remember we went to a trip to Niagara Falls one year, and we went to this amusement park with this roller coaster, really giant roller coaster. And she, you know, she wanted to go on it, so my wife, you know, didn't really want to attempt it. So we got on it, and she's telling me it's one of these stand-up roller coasters, and as it starts to move, she's telling me, oh, Daddy, this is loose. You know, so I ripped my hand out and tried to hold her down. It wasn't really loose, but she was so small that she was, you know, she said, look, it shakes. She got me scared. But she did the whole ride, and she loved it. And, you know, I was a little more grayer at the end of it. But, you know, so she always was willing to try anything. I remember one time, this is later, I think she was in high school or college at this point in time. You know, we come home from a trip, my wife and myself, and I just noticed there was a VCR tape in the machine. So I put it in, see what this is, no label on it. And it's this girl bungee jumping off this amusement ride. And I says, wow, that's crazy. I show my wife, and I says, I think that's Lori. And sure enough, it was. She went on this bungee jumping ride, and she had herself videotaped, I guess, and she forgot it in the machine because she knew we wouldn't approve. But it was just funny. We came across it. Whoops. And so that was it. I think there's one point in time that I saved a life. I don't know if you tell the story. Not really. But we were in the Poconos. It's like water ride, water like slides and everything. And I remember my son slid down they put me down first so I would catch the kids as they would come. And I think she must have been about 5 or 6. Not really absolutely sure. But my son comes sliding down, and I grab him, and there's supposed to be a little bit of time between when my daughter comes sliding down the slide into the water. She immediately comes down, follows him. I hear her voice screaming and yelling as she was coming down. What am I going to do with my son? I put him down. Didn't realize it's 4 feet. He's only 3 feet high. He goes down. Catch her, and hey, grab Chris. I grabbed Chris. And, you know, so didn't really save her, but it was just one of these things that sticks into your memory like that.
Now, how was she personality as a teenager?
Oh, she was great, bubbly. She's intelligent. You know, she was always, you know, it's hard to explain, but I never worried about her. You know, she always had it together. You know, and, you know, whether times were good friends, or sometimes adversity. She always managed to see the bright side of things. You know, she was always willing to give people chances, and, you know, and just a wonderful person.
Now, when she went to Fordham and she met Jonathan, did she talk to you about Jonathan?
As a friend. You know, my wife and I spoke, and, you know, we saw there was a real good friendship, if nothing else there. And there were times when, I'm not sure if this is after college, I think Jonathan, are we live or
Yeah,
remember?
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. No, you know, they always did things together, like, when Jonathan went to San Francisco for a while, he got a job offer. I guess he took it. You know, they were still friends, and she went to visit him You know, she had a steady boyfriend at the time, but the friendship, you know, says I got to go visit him and, you know, see San Francisco with him. And, you know, I never seen her smile more than when she was with Jonathan, even when they were just friends. You know, you could tell her personality was more bubbly than normal, and we knew there was something there. We just tried to figure out when they would notice that themselves, you know, which they eventually did. And Jonathan's a great guy. I remember the way he, on the day, I guess, well, not the day he proposed, but, well, I guess when he came, my wife and I ride our bikes. We take trips to the local park. And one day we came back from the park, and this was like after work. It was like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I think. And Jonathan was there. I was, oh, hi, Jonathan, you know, where's Laurie? Looking around, and she's not here. And he says, I came here to ask you, you know, if I can have your daughter's hand in marriage. I says, great. But, you know, from that point, you know, I liked him before, but he had me at that, you know, that were great words to hear, and the way he did it, you know, we love the guy. He's great. You know, couldn't ask for anybody better for Laurie. You know, for both of them, they complete each other, as the story goes. You know, it's yeah.
Excellent. Let's fast forward to the wedding day. Walking down the aisle with her. How did you feel? Tell me what was going through your mind when you walked down the aisle.
As I walked down the aisle, the predominant thing in my mind was, I hope I don't trip. After that, very proud. You know, I had a little hesitation about giving her away at the end, you know, and to Jonathan, but, you know, it's life, and we did, and I did. And it was a proud moment, and I thought she looked beautiful.
What about during the vows, the exchange of vows? What was going through your mind there?
You know, just, you know, it's you know, I'm not sure. You know, it's one of these mental blogs, but I was taking a lot of pictures. So, you know, but.
That's a good one. You got plenty of people talking about it. Don't worry, you're covered.
Okay.
Take a lot of pictures.
Somebody had to.
Okay, let's fast forward to the parent dance. Tell me what was going through your mind. This is obviously one of the biggest highlights of the day.
Again, hope I don't trip. But no, I was proud. You know, just, you know, it's a moment in your life that, you know, only, depending how many girls you have, I guess, you know, comes once a girl. And this was my turn. And, you know, all eyes on my daughter, and there I was dancing with her, and just, you know, it was nice.
Excellent. Is there anything memorable that you remember during the reception that stands out? Could be comical, could be sad, could be happy.
Well, I mean, the reception. I guess my nephew Paul. I think you've probably heard the story.
I've heard some stories, so maybe this one I haven't.
Yeah, no, it's just, you know, when you see the video, you probably, if you put the video together, he's the voice in the background saying, "You're the greatest," you know. To Laurie, to Jonathan, to my wife. He was great. The hall itself was fabulous, huh?
When did he do that?
Near the end, when this, you know, Jonathan was giving his speech to Laurie and to the crowd, and saying how wonderful to have everybody there. And he said one thing he wanted to tell everybody. I probably don't have the words exactly right, but he says, tomorrow when you go to work, he says, we're going to Hawaii. You know, that's Jonathan. And then in the background you hear Paul saying, "You're the greatest," you know. But the hall itself was fabulous. You know, it's the first wedding I think I've been to where...
In a second. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay. The Bourne Mansion itself was, you know, something outside my experience in wedding halls. You know, it was really fantastic the way they had pictures of all the people, you know, that were guests all over the mansion. which was very interesting. Everybody's looking for their picture in different rooms. You know, you can, you have the porch outside where you can see the ocean. You know, if you take a walk on the lawn, the ocean was back there. It's really, really a nice place. But all the rooms with the pictures and the old banisters, like a haunted house, really elaborate. You know, like being at the Overlook Hotel in The Shining or something. And it had history, right? It wasn't glitzy. It was elegant, I thought. And it was just a fabulous place. And another memorable thing that happened was that the bridal party, myself, my wife, the buses all left without us when it was all over. I guess they forgot that we had to go too, and all the gifts we had to lug, but they came back. I don't know if Paul brought the bus back or not, because he might have been driving at that time. Wasn't sure.
I heard all that story.
Yeah, I heard the story. But, yeah.
Let me ask you one last question.
Sure.
Do you see any similarities or opposites between Laurie and John?
I think they're very compatible. She seems to be like project orient. You know, she's a project manager, and it looks like she organizes everything very well. Jonathan, on the other hand, is very impulsive, I think. He does things, you know, like we went to Disney one year, and all of us, my daughter, Jonathan, my son, his wife, and one morning, I guess we were sleeping late, and it was Jonathan. He went out and hired a helicopters to go over Disney to see. Very impulsive. You know, it's great. You know, the only thing I wish is he would have woke me up. I would have went with him. But you know, he's a great guy, and I think they're compatible. The pictures from their honeymoon, just see them. They you know, they enjoy each other's company, and wherever they are, I don't think it matters where they are. They just enjoy themselves so much that place becomes great because they're there. Right? I don't think they need any third party, any third person to complete them.
That's it. Excellent.
I'm going to end up on a cutting floor.
No, I just want to get an idea of where I'm going with questions here. All right. So, just for the sake of editing, state your name and your relationship.
Okay, my name is Christopher Smrechniak, and Laurie is my sister.
Okay, perfect. Let's start out with when you guys were kids. Bring me into the childhood,
Well,
and tell me something.
The thing that sticks out most, and of course as I get older I forget these things, but the thing that sticks out the most is that Laurie was very loud and had a presence about her. Now, that obviously didn't go too well when we were kids, and she was always screaming to get me in trouble. So, like, if I was teasing her, well, as I'm expected to do as the older brother, and I'm 3 years older than her, she would scream, or even if I didn't tease her, and she wanted something, she would scream, and then my mother would eventually come in and say, hey, whatever it is, just give it to her so she stops screaming. Because my sister had this high-pitched shrill that could, like, break glass, and my mother just wanted to have quiet. So, you know, that was always going on. I mean, you know, typically, I mean, she always followed me around, and that, you know, as being 3 years older, you know, I wanted to hang out with my friends, and, you know, she was always, like, riding on my coattails, following me around, and I was always trying to, like, lose her in the crowd or something like that. But, I mean, I always loved her, and, you know, even though we fought, you know, as we got older, our relationship, you know, grew, and, you know, I have the utmost amount of respect for her, you know, as she went through her teen years and, you know, throughout college and as an adult. You know, I'm immensely proud of her, you know, her choice, you know, and Jonathan, you know, he's a great guy. You know, I never had a brother, you know, so I mean, in terms of, you know, having somebody that's very similar to Laurie, you know, and be able to fill, you know, the role to myself as a younger brother, you know, is amazing to me as well, you know, and I love the both of them very much. And
Now, how was she as a teenager?
well, as a teenager, she began getting more independent. She stopped screaming, which is a good thing. You know, she was a little bit more reserved in her teen years. I think, you know, her experiences in school where she didn't have, you know, she had a few select friends, and, you know, obviously teenage years are troublesome for anybody. Myself included. I mean, everybody goes through awkward periods and, teasing and whatnot, and kids could be cruel and so forth. But I think that all helped forge the person she is today. She was, from those experiences, I think she was able to gather what truly, makes a good friend. And be able to identify, who's a genuine friend and who's just, giving you talk but I'll stab you in the back later on. So, I think that taught her a lot of valuable lessons that she probably applies, in the shrewd business meetings that she attends and negotiations these days. But always very collective. My sister never gets overly emotional in a given situation. She's always thinking, and that's, again, why she probably went into the field she did. Very project-oriented, very organized, which I am not and never have been. I still can't find my paperwork on my desk. So. But
now, let's fast forward to when she went to Fordham and she met Jonathan. Did she ever talk to you about him?
John would come around. I took one trip up there, I think, in the 4 years that she was there, to hang out with her. And I was like a senior at the time and she was a freshman. So I was like, I'll show up to see my little sister and show, so that she could be proud of me and show off to everybody. And, I think at that point I met Jonathan and her other friends. And he was pretty much the same guy he is now, a little rambunctious, little, loud and, not in people's faces, but just happy. He's got this inner spirit where, he's got to express himself. He doesn't really care. It doesn't get on people's nerves, but at the same time, he's just, he's there. There's never a crowd where, John's there and you don't know he's there. Where Lori, even though she can get loud, she's a little bit more reserved and stays in the background a little bit.
Now, let's fast forward to the actual day, the wedding day, the church. The vows, her walking down the aisle. Tell me a little bit about what you were feeling.
Well, it's kind of hard to describe. Here it is, my little sister, who I always tried to protect and, look over and, and guide, and hopefully I've given her good advice throughout the years and so forth. To see her there, so happy but still so collective. I expected myself was probably more emotional than her because, she was still like, okay, what do I have to do next? I have to say my vows and I probably have to give the ring. So, her face was very, very computational and like, okay, what are the next events that have to occur here? So although you could see she was very happy, you could also see like the wheels turning, like, okay, her eyes looking, okay, is this person going to say the right thing now? Okay, who's up next? My dad speaks now, or, what's the priest supposed to say? So, it was very, obviously emotional for me, and my family standing there watching that. But I think Lori's calm kept everybody from really breaking down, because I think if she would have really gotten emotional, a lot of more people would have gotten even more emotional. And I think, that would have, not that it would have been a bad thing, but it would have distracted a little from the proceedings. So.
Now, fast forwarding to the reception hall, the entrance, coming in, from that point on, tell me, anything come to mind? What are you thinking? How you feeling?
Well, I think and other people have probably said this, but the hall is immensely impressive. I had been there years earlier, when I had worked out on Long Island, and I had a big Halloween ball there. And, always in the back of my mind, I was always telling people, oh, this place, there's this big castle out on Long Island. And then the day I went there to see that this was the actual place, it triggered those memories. And I was like, wow, this is really impressive to have a wedding here. And not only did they have it there, but they had so much of the place open to the people that were, to the wedding party itself, where there were like, immense ballrooms, and everything was so extravagant, and it actually, personality-wise, just fit with Lori and John's personality. Like, it's like, out there, and it's got a presence, and it's got style, and it's got class, and it's got humor, and everything that makes them a match together. This place sort of personified, more or less.
No, that's excellent. Great way to put it. Now, she did a dance with you?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the most emotional part of the night.
Tell me about this dance.
Well, I can't even remember which song was playing, you know, and I just remember, like, you know, my sister coming, you know, them calling me out on the dance floor and, you know, trying to stay composed and, you know, reflecting on, you know, childhood memories and, you know, growing up and, you know, our parents and, excuse me. I think the part that really got emotional is when I look over and I see my parents, like, hysterical crying, and my cousin Karen, who, you know, we all grew up together, you know, when they were crying. It's hard to maintain composure in those situations, but just overwhelming feelings of happiness and joy, and it can't be explained. I mean, it's just, you know, a whole lifetime of growing up together, you know, all in that one moment. Excuse me.
Right.
So, I don't know how much more I could say beyond that, but.
That's great. Nah, this is what makes it great.
Oh, my brother. My brother.
Love you, kiddo.
Love you too.
Oh, boy, that's great. You have no idea how great it's going to be. Though.
Great.
It's going to be great. And I can be able to watch them.
I know.
That part, they're going to be like, kid, dang it.
So now,
obviously, that was the most.
yeah, I hear my mom crying in the other room.
All right, this is it. We lead to one last question. Similarities or opposites between Lori and Jonathan? What do you say?
I see a lot of similarities more than differences. You know, they're both very free spirits. You know, they'll just go someplace and just enjoy it to the fullest. You know, they get along with pretty much everybody. You know, the two of them, you know, either together or apart, you know, are pretty much, you know, very at home in any situation. You know, they complement each other, whatever differences they do have. So, I mean, you know, together they're extremely similar, where when they're together, you can't really tell them apart. Like, you know, I mean, one could say something, the other one will finish, you know, the other one's sentence, and so forth. I mean, they think alike. They're very active together. They're very smart people, the two of them. They're in similar fields, very, you know, involved in technology and, you know, just overall very similar people, I think.
Excellent. That's it? We're
excellent.
done. Excellent. Thanks, Chris.
Adam, my mom wants to say one more thing.
Wait, I'm sorry.
That's
I'm just
okay.
gonna cut this. Okay. No, you weren't.
This is going back to the question about one of the emotional things of the reception.
Tell me, talk to me
Oh,
now.
okay. One of the most emotional things, other than my daughter dancing with her dad, also was my two children dancing. My daughter dancing with her brother, which just drew emotion from the entire crowd at the wedding, because you could see the way they danced. They're growing up together, all their lifetime of memories together, and the love that they have between them. And for us as parents to view that from the sidelines, it was just, you know, it was incredible. We were all tissues and tears, and it was really an emotional moment. And that's like one of my favorite memories of the reception, is that dance.
Excellent. Thank you.